Yes, actually, guy. Ah, live. Hey,
We're live.
we're live.
We're live. Awesome. Cool. Marcus, this is a huge milestone for me. You doing this with me means a lot. I'm super happy to have you on today's Tech Bound episode, and we're doing a special episode. Not just special because the topic today is SEO, but also special because as I said before, it's a very unique moment, and we're doing this in collaboration with Ride. So a lot of cool things come together. Our company today is GameStop. We're going to talk about SEO for GameStop. We found a lot of really cool stuff in advance just in a second. But I want to give you a quick second to just introduce yourself. I feel like, you're a legend in this space. Obviously, there's a lot to say about you, but I'm not sure if I could do it justice. So maybe if you can just drop like maybe a couple of words about yourself.
Yeah, thanks so much, Kevin, and thank you so much for inviting me to your podcast. I mean, it's a huge honor to be a guest on your podcast. I'm an avid listener. I really love your podcast, and so it's just phenomenal to be finally on this side of the microphone and do this with you. So thank you so much. What to say about me? I love SEO. What else? What else is there to know? I mean, I do SEO since SEO has been around. I started here in Germany, obviously with Alta Vista and Fireball. So before Google was even around, Google actually started in Germany in 2000. And this is also when I, got wind of Google, and basically from that point on, I basically grew up with them and their algorithms. And it was just fun in the beginning, and it really turned out to be really my Leidenschaft, my passion, and passion eventually led to love. And I really love that I've been doing this for now almost 25 years. And and I never consider myself working. I'm just having fun. I'm so interested in this space. So I love all aspects of SEO. And and obviously I'm also the founder of Write. We started as onpage.org 10 years ago. As the first cloud-based crawler. Very proud of this, and still among the best in the industry. And so it's a great challenge, but also for me it's very exciting, because most of the time, or like 95% of my time, I'm actually helping our customers, working with our customers. So I'm really doing SEO almost every day. I stepped down from being a managing director like 2 years ago, because Andy, my co-founder, is doing this just fantastically. He's an awesome CEO, and I'm not an awesome CEO. I'm an SEO, and that's actually all I can do. At least that's what my wife always says as well. I can't do anything else besides SEO. So this is what I'm doing, and I love being able to do this, being able to do SEO every single day, have a touch point with at least one of our customers every single day, and working with our own software for at least 4 hours a day, I would say. So for me, it's like it's really awesome to be able to still be very active in SEO and do this every single day.
Yeah, no doubt, and the passion is palpable. You've also been a legendary affiliate, especially back in the day. This is how I first heard about you, and we have this funny backstory which goes all the way back. So right now we're looking at an email from 2009, and in 2009 I was finishing college, or university, better said, and I had this e-commerce. Professor, which at the time was, pretty unusual to have e-commerce in college, and he was telling us about the Media Adonis and the legendary affiliate who all the big companies want to work with, and who the big companies fly out to special events just to like get the latest SEO scoop and work with Media Adonis, and that caught my attention. And so I did a little bit of research. I got hooked, by the whole myth about Media Adonis. I was like, wow, this is so cool, and I want to meet this guy. And then of course that guy is none other than Marcus himself. I reached out to Marcus, sent him an email in 2009, and it was in German, of course. It all happened in Germany. But the gist of it was, I asked him if he could point me at, either sources to learn SEO, or if I could, apprentice with Marcus. And a lot has happened ever since. But I would say, Marcus is really the reason and the person who inspired me to go into SEO. And at the time, don't forget, SEO was not what it is today, right? Today, SEO is very, I want to say, mainstream, and it's very embraced by companies, a big field. Back in the day, that was not the case at all. It was a very hacky discipline. It was very, a little bit of a dark art. And when I told my parents I'm going to go into SEO, they let me do my thing. But I remember they were like, what is this kid doing? Is he banking his future on something, hacky, risky? But Marcus answered me back. I remember that vividly. I don't have the email anymore, but I think you said something along the lines of like, oh yeah, sure, you need to learn, C# and C++ and JavaScript and all these other frameworks, and then read all these books, and then come back to me. And today we have this amazing point of coming full circle 13 years after, where we're hosting a show together. So for me personally, it's just a huge milestone, and one of these stories that you would never think really come true.
Dude, thanks so much. I mean, like, if you watch the video, you see me blushing like the whole time. This is just so, I mean, like, obviously so weird to hear this, because obviously I have a totally different perspective from my side on this whole stuff. No, but it's so great. And I remember you telling me about this email. I actually didn't remember. And then I was like, pulling it up. And I was like, why would I recommend, like, to learn C++, C#? I mean, like, obviously this is not really needed for SEO. But back in the day, I always thought it's a really it's an Vorteil, as it's an advantage if you can code yourself, right? If you don't have to go to people and say, hey, can you please do this? Can you please do that? And I can't code, right? I mean, like, I'm not a coder. I wouldn't call myself a coder, right? I'm like a copy and paste, taking something from GitHub, using some, I like just stitching stuff together. But still, being able to do that, right, and run your own stuff. And this always, like, early in the beginning, as you just said, when I was like an affiliate, this helped me so much, being able to do just stuff myself and not being able to have to be reliant on other people or anything else. So I always thought this is very useful to learn for yourself, because you're just a lot faster, and you can like really play with new technologies coming up when you're like well versed in all these kind of things. But so I assume you still don't know C# right now. I don't know C#. Look at you. I mean, like, I always say, like, you're the biggest Exportschlager from Germany, the biggest export like SEO export we had to the US. Obviously, have such a great reputation, working for so many reputable US companies as the head of SEO or more. And so, look at you. I'm so proud. And I don't mean this like if I would have anything to do with it. I'm so proud that somebody from Germany is able to do this. And just look at what you built there. So, but enough of the pleasantries. Let's talk about SEO. Just, like, everybody out there, we go way back, and it's just, for the both of us, it's an incredible thing to do this together.
Absolutely. I appreciate you, Marcus. I think this was great advice at the time. I still think it's great advice to be able to self-serve. And so here we are. You're also organizer, head organizer, one of the organizers of the legendary SEO Oktoberfest, another kind of milestone for me, where like, we have a lot of fun, great exchange with lots of fantastic people, and the caliber of people at this event is just nothing but mind blowing. So another great thing that you bring to the SEO community.
Yeah, and also thank you for coming and being an envoy at the G50 summit there. And I put this picture in here. There was so much fun in September. Not just fun, obviously, and was such a great event again. And I think the NPS rating was 9.8 out of 10. And I think the 0.2 was only Rickard complaining that we didn't have a heliport, right? So this is like the level. I mean, we got to get better next year.
No heliport, Marcus. What were we thinking? But lots of fun at this event. What you see right now is me holding up a stein and dancing at Oktoberfest with Andrea Volpini and some of our other friends. And speaking of fun, today's company is GameStop.
Yes,
GameStop obviously got a lot of light and buzz with the Wall Street bets scandal, when their stock went from something like $4 up to over $80 in a huge short squeeze. But there's a lot of interesting stuff about GameStop, and we have some really cool insights about SEO, about the business, about what search can mean for a business like GameStop. And again, it's nothing short of fascinating. So maybe a couple of statistics, right? We want to take a step back and look at the market first. So the gaming market is obviously booming. I don't think it's a big surprise, but just to hold the numbers in front of you, in 2021, the gaming market was estimated to be around $214 billion globally. In 2026, it's forecasted to be $321 billion. So that's over 8% compound annual growth. So this market is rapidly exploding. And, if you look at just the sheer size, there's obviously, a ton of market share and a ton of revenue to be made. We talk about GameStop itself as a company. I'm not going to go through the whole history, but I have a couple of key facts that are really interesting. First, the company was founded in Dallas, Texas in 1984. So it's almost 40 years old at this point. Fun fact, it was called Babbage when it first started. And it was actually bought in 1999 for $215 million by none other than Barnes and Nobles of all companies. When I read that, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, of all companies, right? I mean, like
Yeah.
Barnes and Noble, what? Crazy.
Barnes and Nobles, right? So I think like we're often these days we speak of Barnes and Nobles as the company that was beat by Amazon and that appeared a bit cocky, but they actually did a lot of stuff back in the day. They were not blind to this whole digital trend and to this internet culture that was coming. They just didn't have they just weren't as innovative and as aggressive and fast as Amazon, but they did some stuff. And so in fact they bought GameStop in 1999. And for the few, 3 people who don't know what GameStop is, it's a company that sells games, hardware, accessories, and collectibles. So as the name says, it's a video game company that still has over 4,500 stores worldwide. So matter of fact, they're still the largest video game retailer, and they have quite the number of assets. And another fun fact about GameStop is that they actually acquired almost 200 retail locations from Radio Shack in 2015. So lots of companies that you now know that that whose trajectory changed fundamentally, and they're all somewhat connected. A sad fun fact, or not so fun fact, is that the last Radio Shack store actually is closing this month in December 2022. So I feel like there's a big arc, a big story here about companies that once dominated the market and are now struggling, and that's exactly what's happening to GameStop as well. So we're looking at a chart next where you see the market share over time from GameStop compared to Toys R Us, Walmart, Amazon, Best Buy, Target, and others. And as you can already imagine in your mind, the market share of especially Amazon, of course, is growing rapidly, while GameStop's market share is shrinking over time. And so
the incredible fact, right, that with the number of store locations, right, before this was like a big plus. Oh my God, they have thousands of store locations. That's a huge thing. And now that's a liability, right? I mean, like if they could okay, all done, we don't have any more stores, no more people working there, just focusing on online, right? I mean, would be a totally different ball game. And what used to be a great asset is now really, a huge liability.
That's a great call out. I couldn't say it any better. So in the grand scheme of business chess, the landscape and the pieces have really changed. And as you said, it's somewhat of a liability. And what's interesting about it is that today GameStop competes with basically 3 different groups of other companies, some of which also have retail locations or retail stores, better said, but are very differently positioned, right? So the one group that they're mostly competing with is, of course, the Best Buys, the Walmarts, Targets, and Amazon. And except for Amazon, they all have physical retail locations as well, but they sell other stuff too. It's not just video games. It's also, especially when you go to a Walmart or a Target, you can get anything from produce to clothes to video games. Then there's the second group, which are game creators, the manufacturers of games, like Epic Games, Electronic Arts, or Nintendo. Activision especially was in the news right now. There's a acquisition from Microsoft that's currently being blocked. It's very interesting, but the big shift that we're seeing in the market is that the game creators are going direct to consumer. And then lastly, we have the group of online marketplaces like Steam or Microsoft who aggregate video games as well and allow players to play them online, right? So the market has, in these last 40 years, significantly shifted. And of course, as you can imagine, physical game retail is shrinking. So we have a couple other charts where you can just see how the market share of physical game sales is just going down. So there's a stat here that in the US, digital downloads accounted for about 20% of video game sales in 2009. In 2015, only 6 years later, it was already over 50%. And of course, by now, I would argue that the majority of video games is sold online. Yeah. And with that, I want to pass it over, as always, to our guest of today. Marcus, stage is yours.
Thank you so much, because I want to focus on SEO. When you ask me, we're going to share growth strategies, I'm like, I'm a one-trick pony, right? I know SEO, right? Nothing else. But it's a very interesting case, especially also in regards to SEO. And this is what I'm going to focus on now. First of all, judging by various SERP scraping tools, in this case, SEMrush and Systrix, it looks like GameStop has lost quite a bit of their visibility in Google. Of course, we don't have access to their Google Search Console, would be nice. So it might look completely different in reality. This wouldn't be the first time. For example, the loss of visibility could be due to the various SERP layout changes Google has done throughout the year, especially with transactional queries, like when people are looking to buy a video game, you now always have a shopping integration above the fold. And I think it's fair to assume, though, there's at least a noticeable downward trend in their search performance. I would still love to see their data and Write. There's just no better way to thoroughly analyze Google Search Console data than with Write. I know, shameless self-plug, I know, but it's just the truth. What are you going to do, right? Sorry. So let's check out what could be potential reasons for this decline in search performance. There are way too many product variations and facets indexed. Searching for Nintendo Switch OLED, GameStop has 2 results with the exact same title and description. Just the price seems to be slightly different. It's only when you click through, though, to see these results, when you realize one of those Nintendo Switch handhelds is actually pre-owned, while the other one is new, explaining the difference in their pricing. Of course, this is super confusing for a person searching to buy a Nintendo Switch. With so many facets, of course, Google is eager to try lots of them in the SERPs, resulting in lots of keyword cannibalization. So when I searched for Nintendo Switch Lite, I actually got the Coral version instead of a catch-all Nintendo Switch Lite page with all different colors, new and pre-owned devices, etc. Yeah, which obviously would be a lot better result for the user than this specific one, in this case, Coral. I don't even know what a color Coral is, right? It's like turquoise. I don't know. And this is a rather typical challenge, as I would say, for online shops with products that are available in various colors or sizes, like also shoes, etc. And GameStop seems to have every single facet indexed, with Google showing over 500 results when I search GameStop.com with Nintendo Switch Lite in the title. You should really choose your battles more wisely and only let facets getting indexed which actually have a search volume. Another fun example is their top 5 ranking for PS5. I mean, obviously a great achievement, top 5 for PS5, but it says out of stock right in the SERPs, which probably has quite a significant impact on their click-through rate. So Google actually ranks another result from their site right below, which says PlayStation 5 consoles in the title. Well, that's enticing. That's exactly what I'm searching for. But clicking through, there is no single PS5 console, just PlayStation 5 accessories, which probably nobody really needs since they are still looking for buy the actual device. And it gets worse. There's a hefty chunk of, as I would call it, SEO content on, brace yourselves, over 4,000 pages, all with the same title, and apparently most of them being completely empty. Yeah. So that's quite a lot of crawl waste. I mean, just horrible. What's going on there?
And all these are indexed, right? They're not
Yeah.
just available to the crawl; they're indexed in Google, so they're all competing with each other. It's a miracle that GameStop still ranks on the first page for PS5.
I mean, it's still GameStop. I mean, like the authority is just amazing, right? And obviously
Yeah.
they get through with stuff, a normal affiliate site, especially a normal affiliate site, would never be able to do. Here, really, Google is really like trying its best, because they see, well, they're not doing a good job at SEO, but that's not their problem. That's my problem as Google, right? So I need to figure that stuff out. And they make it really hard. They really like throw sticks at Google, also in die Speichenstücke. I don't know the English saying for that. Sticks in the bicycle. Oh, I'm sorry, that's horrible. It's hard.
Sure.
I hope you guys get the point. So they're making it hard for Google, and this shouldn't be the case. We should make it more easy for Google, and really what should really rank here? What's the best page that should I really rank here, and make it happen, and not give 4,000 random pages with the same SEO content, and everything else is empty. That's not good, right? And there's duplicate content all over the site. I found these different Pokemon pages, and that's all it says in the title. Only the URL offers a hint at what might be different, since sizes are being mentioned in the URL. And it's only after clicking through when you find out it's a filter for Pokemon-themed clothing. By the way, who would wear that, right? Clear duplicate content, since most of the clothing is available in all different sizes, hence the almost exact inventory. And as we have already seen in the SERPs, there are also lots of duplicate titles, which makes it super, super confusing because only the URL really offers a hint at what kind of inventory I might find upon clicking through. But what struck me the most, though, was seeing internal search results ranking in the Google SERPs. And this is something Google really isn't very fond of. It's just not a good search result to find another search result, right? This is why I'm asking Google. And Google has almost 8,000 of these internal search results indexed, and even lots of results showing no search result in the title. I mean, why? Why would you have those clearly worthless pages indexed? That's clear crawl waste. So I checked their robots.txt, and surprisingly, I discovered a disallow of their search directory. So everything's fine, right? But all of these internal search results have been crawled and indexed. Most of them even have a pretty current cache date. So how could this be? The last robots.txt version without the disallow of the search directory was actually in July of 2019. So that doesn't really make sense. By the way, shout out to the archive.org Wayback Machine. It's just awesome to investigate these kinds of issues. And it took me like half an hour. I know I'm stupid. It took me like half an hour before I noticed that way below in the robots text, they explicitly allow only Googlebot to crawl and index their entire site. What? Yeah. So this strategy, in quotation marks, this strategy is clearly by design and no mistake of any sort. So there is definitely a lot of opportunity here in optimizing this subpar strategy, as I would say.
Just to quickly step in here, because I think this is actually huge, right? I think first of all, what you found is phenomenal, because this is a text file with many lines, and just going through this one by one, it takes some patience and some grit, but this is, I mean, first of all, like robots.txt, right? It's like one of the most powerful text files, not just for a website, but also for a company. Who knows, if GameStop were to fix that, who knows how much more revenue they could make. So now we have a text file that can impact revenue numbers of a huge public corporation. So I just wanted to show the dimension and the magnitude of this problem here.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. And by the way, I love the robots.txt files because they're also like they have like this Pokemon, this Pac-Man theme going on there, also with the ASCII art, and they're also not like blocking the ghosts and like allowing the Pac-Man and stuff like this. So it's very fun, but it's not all fun and games. You should, I mean, like at least do it how it's supposed to be done.
Yes. And it goes to show how important SEO is, and where the value of SEO. Finding these kind of things and fixing them can have incredible impact. So great find, Marcus.
Yeah, absolutely. And Robert 60 is like the house rules, this is like the house rules, right? This is what if you come to my house, this is what you got to take care of. There's lots of more crawlways, like lots of empty pages just saying content goes here. So if content goes there, put it there, right? And if not, you don't need the page. It doesn't need to be indexed. There's also HTML search banners, which lead users to a 404 page. Yeah. So clearly legacy, outdated pages, which could easily be removed, right? This is like no digital hoarding, right? This is exactly what we have, these empty yogurt containers. Oh, I might need this anyone if I want to, I don't know, build something, right? No, you don't need it, just get it out. No digital hoarding, only get stuff indexed that's really relevant to the user. Web performance is also very important. Looking at web performance, there's also lots of potential for optimization. Most of their pages have a poor Core Web Vitals score and should be optimized to ensure a great website user experience. I mean, this is what it's all about. This is why we go to a specific page. This is why people prefer going to Amazon, because the UX is awesome. The checkout process is so awesome, right? This is what you got to compete with. You have to ensure a great website user experience. If you can't ensure this, just lay down and go sleeping. I don't know how to have, I didn't know what to say. GameStop is failing both on desktop and mobile, with quite a significant share of real users who probably had a very poor website user experience, judging by the field data. There's quite some potential with reducing or even removing unused JavaScript, with almost half of JavaScript apparently not needed to render the initial viewport. So why do it? There are also a couple of render blocking resources which should be removed to ensure the site's loading as quickly as possible. Especially the third-party files, like the fonts, should be either self-hosted or preloaded. And in the case of fonts, you should also make the font timeout. And by the way, you can also get rid of the characters that you don't need. This, for example, what we do at Write, to also strip down the self-hosted font file, make it as small as possible, that you actually strip down the characters that you just don't need, that are not on your web page. That also saves a lot of time and bytes. And also the third-party host should be pre-connected or DNS prefetch, whatever, to really make it a very smooth loading process. There are also 3 JavaScript files which are blocking page rendering and could either be deferred, loaded asynchronously, or referenced inline, of course. Same goes for a couple of externally referenced CSS files. The largest contentful paint should ideally also be preloaded. Interestingly enough, the LCP is a background image. Yay. Other images which are outside the critical viewport should be lazy loaded. This is also best practice and native in Google Chrome, so that's very easy. So they are just loaded when there's actually a chance of the user seeing the image. Before that, I just don't need to load it, right? That's it. There's also a noticeable cumulative layout shift, probably due to the images missing an aspect ratio. So they should definitely add aspect ratios to their images. And last but not least, there are also a total of 24 requests which are resulting in an HTTP redirect, which ideally should be removed on first request. Regarding general usability of the site and also compliance, which is very important here in Europe, Google does not really like their potentially overlapping tab targets. For example, down below, the jump links to the different country versions, which are not really safely clickable with fat fingers, as I have one, or lots of them, 10, 9, 8, and 2 thumbs, or whatever. And I have also identified a lot of non-compliant tracking scripts. I mean, GDPR is just a huge, huge topic in Europe. So before a user is actually giving consent, a whole lot of connections to Google, Facebook, etc., are already being made, and information is already being shared with their servers. And obviously, this is a big issue in regards to GDPR, especially if you're marketing towards European countries.
Do you think, Marcus, do you think that potentially GameStop, their violations of compliance are so severe that they could be fined for it?
Oh, I'm not a lawyer by any sort of, and I don't want to really give legal advice or something. I mean, if this is an issue, could be an issue, or how big of an issue. I mean, yeah, I'm not big in these legal things, but I can definitely see, as you can see in the screenshot that I'm sharing in the presentation, right? You can really see, you still see the consent also it's being shown on the page as an overlay of the site, but I'm seeing already the network requests being made to Facebook, to Google, and everything. This is already being done before the guy has, before the person has given consent. So yeah, also it is definitely something you should look into. This is definitely something, I think this is safe to say, this is something you should look into. But again, I'm no expert on what really is the issue and how severe of an issue this really is.
Yeah, it's a good point. And I also really love the Core Web Vital problems or the page speed problems you found. I think e-commerce is the one vertical where we can with very high confidence say that page speed really matters, not just for SEO, but also for conversion rate optimization and the general user experience. And the problems and issues you found, to me personally, really show that the site is bloated and is not maintained well. And there's a lot of potential for fixing things.
Absolutely. And this is no SEO thing. This thing, oh, look at the SEO complaining about Core Web Vitals, this SEO. No. Exactly as you said, especially when I'm selling products that multiple merchants have, that Amazon has. I need to step up my game or nobody's gonna order from my store. That's it, right? I mean, this is just the thing. People go there with least frictions, like energy, and this is just it. People would choose a different online shop if the product and the price is comparable, right? If everything is comparable, they would rather go to Amazon. So you need to step up their game and really provide a superb website user experience. It just doesn't work without any more. That's just it.
Yep, no doubt. One of the e-commerce is probably one of the most competitive games in the world, especially when you think about what's at stake and leaving potential on the table is just painful. And at the same time, we all know how difficult it can be to stay on top of all of these things. So maybe at this point, something to point out is that Marcus and I, we're very respectful to GameStop. We totally know that it's easier to judge from the outside than it is to get things done from the inside. And we all do this for the reason, to share how we think about SEO, how we think about growth, but not to say that people at GameStop are doing a bad job.
No, absolutely. This is not, and again, we both, as you just said, we both know how hard it really is. Also getting the stakeholder buy-in from inside. Do we even have the people who have an eye on that, right? And really get this in a process and really like a process, because websites get slower again. I think Google said after half a year, 70% of the pages are already slower again, right? This is a continuous effort. This is a process you need to establish within an organization. Obviously, this is not easily done. But I mean, they're still making about $1 billion in revenue. So I mean, to save their future business, I think why not invest a little bit more in these kinds of things? Because, and again, general website user experience, it's not just good for SEO. This is also, if you're doing PPC, I mean, you can either buy more traffic or have the traffic convert better if you want to make more money. And that's just it, right? Also, this helps on all aspects of the game. So this is really not just an SEO play. This is just, it's essential. I would really say this is essential for GameStop to do this. But again, it's very easy to judge this from outside, looking at tools. Oh, this is bad. This is bad. This would be so easy. Just remove unused JavaScript. Yeah, just remove some unused JavaScript. Yeah. Also, obviously, this is not easy, and this is very superficial at some sort of how we're presenting this. But nevertheless, there's a lot of truth, and I think a lot of potential for GameStop. If they would think about really getting this into their DNA for the future.
100%. Cool, Marcus. Thanks for findings. I want to dive into 3 subjects that I found on my site that I think could be very interesting. The first one is what I titled site relaunch. And there are probably a couple of things connected here, but the big theme is that a lot of pages on GameStop.com disappeared for various reasons. And we're looking at a chart right now where you can clearly see that in about roughly middle of 2021, early 21, you see a peak of the number of pages that GameStop.com has, and the traffic correlates with that number of pages. And then after roughly middle of 2021, you see that the number of pages sharply declines, and so does organic traffic, right? So one of the principles in SEO is that for marketplaces and aggregators, there is a correlation between traffic and the number of pages. It's not always a perfect correlation or a strong correlation, but there is one nonetheless. And with GameStop, we see that happening for sure. So I looked into some of the pages and directories that lost most traffic, and one of the big directories is the collectibles one. As I mentioned before, GameStop used to sell a whole spectrum of different things, not just games, but also collectibles related to games. And the collectible directory in itself, just the directory, brought in over 1 million monthly visits before it dropped from the face of the earth, and all that traffic is gone. I mean, this is, this is an important point to make here. As SEOs, we're not just here to grow traffic, we're also here to preserve traffic. And if there's a business decision to remove products or categories or even bigger parts of the business, then as SEOs, we can still make an impact by saving some of the traffic. But here in the case of GameStop, at least for the collectibles, this has completely disappeared.
By the way, have they stopped selling collectibles?
Not altogether. And this is the thing that really boggled my mind. They still sell collectibles, but there are several directories, including the video games directory, by the way, that have been moved around. Some have died completely, and there's not a clear business reason for it.
Weird, because even if I would have get rid of all the collectible toys, right, I would become an affiliate, right? I mean, like all the rankings I have, right? Hey, these are different sources where you can buy it. This is the best price here, whatever, and then I'm just becoming an affiliate for this kind of stuff, and use my rankings accordingly.
Exactly. I think this is a great point you're making, Marcus. It can be there are ways to be creative, right? I mean, GameStop would not be the first company that is not an affiliate that would add an affiliate business, right? You have New York Times as well with the Wirecutter. They bought an affiliate business. So there are many things you can do here, right? You can even think about something like a community around collectibles, or maybe like a UGC deal hunter play. I think there are many creative ways here, but it seems like GameStop just cut it off and buried it, So pretty bad. Lost a lot of traffic. I looked into a couple of other pages as well that lost traffic. And there's there's several things happening here. It's not just the collectibles, it's also the video games and the hardware that changed URLs. And as we know, as SEOs, every URL change is always costly. Sometimes you don't have a different choice, but every redirect comes at a little bit of a cost. And some of these pages here, single pages, some of them lost 500,000 visits, 400,000, 300,000 visits a month, right? So we're talking about over 5 million annual clicks from just a single page that disappeared from the face of the earth. So there was certainly, I'm not sure what the rationale here was, but there was some sort of decision. It could have been like we want to relaunch or restructure, redesign our site. But that decision certainly cost GameStop a lot of traffic. And even in cases where they redirected pages or directories, right? I spoke about the collectible directory that was redirected to a toys directory. Even the redirects did not perform as well anymore. You can clearly see, for example, that the collectible directory brought in over 600,000 monthly visitors, and after the redirect, it only brings in about 200,000. So they lost over 2/3 of their organic traffic with this redirect. I'm not sure if the redirect in itself was faulty. It looks much more like the new experience is inferior to the previous experience. So there was some sort of a decision made here that just doesn't perform as well anymore.
I would have really liked to listen in that board meeting, or what meeting they had before this decision was being made. But I can safely assume there was no SEO sitting on the table. There was no SEO as like hey guys, I mean. And this is what GameStop is not an SEO project, right? So the SEO shouldn't be that like, oh my God, this is very bad for SEO. We shouldn't do this. But the in-house SEO really has to be like sort of like the service, right? We were planning to do this. What kind of an impact would that have right here, right? This is like really, or how can we really feed this the best to Google? How can we make this work? What we're trying to do here on a big level, right? So obviously this is not an SEO project. but there should be someone with that knowledge who could be consulted to really like, how can we do this? Does it make sense? How can we do this differently? Or just how can we do it like just the best way? Because it just doesn't make any sense from our point of view, definitely.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. I would have loved to listen to that meeting as well. A couple more examples that I brought. One of them is the keyword 3DS, which is the Nintendo 3DS. GameStop used to rank number one for that keyword until February 2021. And then again, the page drops from the face of the earth. And of course, who steps into who steps into position number one is Amazon. So now Amazon is number one, and you can see that when you look at rank trackers, you can see that GameStop tried to launch a new page in September 2022, and unfortunately, that new page doesn't even come close to the performance of the previous page. I looked into the Wayback Machine. Again, another shout out. It's an incredible tool for SEOs to understand what happened in the past, even without access to internal data. And when you look at the old page that the rank number one for 3DS, you can see it's a nice category page with the actual product, with accessories, right? So I can see how that converted relatively well. But then when you look at the new page, or at what the old page returns today, it's a 404 error, right? So even if you have to, for whatever reason, change the layout or the design or the URL structure, at least make sure you implement proper 301 redirects to the new URL. But that did not happen. There is a 404 status code for a page that used to rank number one for a keyword that I'm sure brought in millions of dollars. Gone. Absolutely gone.
Yeah, not even a redirect. I mean, like what? I have so many questions, and I still would love to see the Google Search Console data here. I mean, like, it must be wild. As there must be so much great stuff in there. Yeah, I'd really love to see that.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is not an outlier. I also looked at other hardware consoles and gaming consoles. The same happened with the Wii console. Maybe, I don't know if it's so that popular, but they also used to rank number one there until April 2021, and then vanished from the face of the earth. And now the whole search result is full of Amazon, Walmart, and eBay. So they're giving away market share here as well. And the one thing that I want to finish with in this section here is this interesting case about ThinkGeek. So ThinkGeek, just for context, is a company that GameStop actually acquired back in the day. It's a brand for collectibles and nerd products, right? It actually used to be really cool back in the day.
Not just back in the day. I mean, like, nerd stuff is always cool.
Nerd stuff is always cool. Yeah, ThinkGeek. I'm not sure if they're still top of the game, but yeah, I mean, massive opportunity here. And there was a business decision I think in 2019, to not have ThinkGeek be a standalone brand, but actually to house it on GameStop.com. And you can see in rank trackers that that actually was realized, right? So in like early 2019 or maybe middle 2019, ThinkGeek.com started to redirect to GameStop.com. You can see the traffic shoot up. There was a successful redirect. But then for whatever reason, in August 2021, so about a bit more than 2 years later, all of a sudden, all that traffic disappeared from the face of the earth again. And so this just goes to show how there is a waste of potential. I looked into how many people still search for ThinkGeek today. And it's I see my screenshot has died for some reason. If you go to the next slide, you'll see. Yeah, exactly. Here we go. But there's still 25,000 people who look for ThinkGeek today, compared to 750,000 back in 2019, right? So this was a massive brand, massive traffic, and still today people are searching for it, but GameStop does not provide a good experience. On the next slide, you can see the ranks for ThinkGeek over time. And of course, GameStop was number one. There was not even fluctuation in the search results, right? You often, for certain keywords, especially non-branded keywords, you can see that Google is experimenting with different results and changing snippets and all that. That doesn't happen for brand keywords. You can see a straight line in rank trackers for position number one for ThinkGeek, for GameStop. And then once GameStop takes that page off, or I'm going to talk more about what happened, Amazon is again the one stepping in the number one rank. So yeah, on the next slide, you can see what actually happened here. I compared the the two kind of ThinkGeek destinations on GameStop.com. So on the one side, you have the version of December 2022. So today, on the other side, you have what the page looked like in February 2021. And the difference is pretty startling, right? In 2021, you see a full category page, lots of products, lots of selection, lots of collectibles. And today, all you see is 7 lonely products that don't even seem very relevant to the actual, topic here.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's a pretty crazy story. I feel like it's a bit of a lost opportunity. So when you look for ThinkGeek today, first, number one, you see Wikipedia. Number two, Amazon, and Amazon is going back and forth with Wikipedia. An interesting thing here is that the page from Amazon is actually a search page. Right, so we spoke about earlier. Yeah, exactly. It's pretty. We spoke about earlier how certain brands can get away with certain things because their authority is so big. That is not
just Amazon. Perfect. Yeah. Type it in Amazon.
Yeah, sure. Search page, not even optimized for anything. Maybe for ThinkGeek, so they cash in these 25,000 monthly searches. Why not? And then on the third result, you see the old thinkgeek.com domain, which is still indexed, even though it redirects to GameStop.com. And there's probably some robots.txt issue here, or no index, or some other technical
so issue. It doesn't. I mean, obviously, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really thinking about like now finally should I do like a parasite host, like a Tumblr or whatever? I don't know, like thinkgeek.tumblr.com and just rank for ThinkGeek with 25,000 searches still.
Honestly.
I mean, my affiliate heart is like really pounding. I'm gonna take a look at this. This is really cool.
I mean, you could spin up something probably in an hour, and maybe
create ChatGPT.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Create some content with ChatGPT or something. Boom, put it on there. I'd be very curious how that performs.
Yeah. If kids are listening, this is not how SEO works. We're just like we're just making jokes. Right?
Yes, we're just joking. Cool. So before we wrap that up, I wanted to talk a little bit about a topic that is very important for SEO, but not SEO in the traditional sense, and that is brand strength. So when you look at Google Trends and you look at GameStop over time, you see that globally the brand started to lose demand. So fewer people stopped searching. Sorry, more people stopped searching for GameStop in around 2015, and ever since the trend is going downwards. So this is a brand on the decline, right? The brand is not top of mind anymore, and that is a big problem. Also, when you look at the search results today, so when you look for something like video games, the search landscape actually shows you a lot of product listing ads. So at the very top, you see advertisers actually, and then you see Amazon, Target, and Walmart, right? So this search result is really dominated by the big online and offline retailers. You don't find GameStop there in the mix really, but you also see that it's become a little bit of a pay to play type of situation. And the reason or one kind of problem here is that GameStop is not really realized as a video game market anymore by Google. So when you look for something like best online game stores, you see that GameStop is just one result of many, and the other ones are those that we already mentioned. You have Epic Games, actually twice with their online store and their website. You have Best Buy. You have what else do we have here? Fanatics and all that kind of stuff. So it's there's a broad selection of video games, and that is reflected by the brand carousel that you see when you look for terms like best video games or best video game stores. The competition has really increased while GameStop's brand search and brand demand has decreased, and that's always a big problem, right? If you don't have a big brand, then it's even harder to compete in search, and you have fewer people coming directly to you, right? Let's not forget that SEO, of course, the main focus should be on non-branded terms, but brand traffic is still a competitive advantage because you have people coming straight to you. And the world has just significantly changed in the last couple of years for GameStop. One of the big trends that we mentioned in the beginning is that more video game creators are selling directly and marketing directly to their customers and to their consumers. One example is the Nintendo Store, which when it went live went from 0 to 5.6 million visits in only 3 months, right? So these video game creators are opening the fire hose, and they're establishing a strong online presence very, very quickly.
This is how easy SEO is, right?
Yeah.
Directory, boom, 6 million visits. No, I mean, like, if you have a great brand, SEO can be really, really easy. Yeah. Holy shit.
Yes. It gets even better. The Epic Games Store went from 0 to 22 million visits in just 4 months. So an absolutely success story here. And then the big kind of the big gorilla, I would say, is Steam. Steam is a marketplace online for all sorts of video games, probably the most popular video game marketplace, and they just crossed 100 million monthly visits in November 2022. So we're starting to get into the territory here of just being one of the largest sites on the internet, and that speaks to the trend of and the popularity of video gaming and online video gaming. So
yeah, and also like really like Steam's ability to really think ahead, because I remember when Half-Life was released, back then, it was only distributed over Steam or like semi-exclusive. I don't remember. It was tied to Steam at some sort that you had to register or something like this, right? I don't remember. And there was a big outcry. Oh my God, right? The publishers, the game publishers now want us directly. Oh my God, this doesn't work. This is so stupid. People are not going to buy the games because they're going to hate it, right? And now look at this. This is the future. We just saw it happen. That's it, right? You're all sheep. Now, it's crazy, right? It is crazy what Steam has done. And like also being the first mover here, really the painful first mover here. But it totally paid out. Also, this is like great long-term thinking on their part. Also phenomenal, really phenomenal. They really saw how this market is going to go.
Great call out, Marcus. They really took a bet on the future, and it paid off very, very nicely. That you remember Half-Life, Counter-Strike, and all these games, and now you can just play games from really anyone. And it's not just hardcore games; also a lot of like very basic casual games, very like puzzles, games without great graphics, right? And so I think we often underestimate how big the market actually is for casual gamers, and Steam took a bet several times, right? So to your point, I think this is a great call out. They were early in the video game space, but then they made another decision to open up their marketplace for other developers as well, not just their own games. And today, they're absolutely dominating. So the big question is how can GameStop even compete here? And they had an interesting idea, which is the NFT marketplace. And the NFT marketplace was announced in June 2022, which was, NFTs already were, I would say struggling at the time. But I think the basic idea was actually a good one, right? They grew. I mean, collectibles were never their main revenue stream, but were an important revenue stream. And the modern, I would say, contemporary way to sell collectibles is online as NFTs. As non-fungible tokens. And so in my mind, this was like a lifeboat strategy, asking yourself, how can we add value? How can we find a competitive advantage here? In my mind, what happened is that GameStop kind of tried to jump from A to F, where they said, okay, look, we missed the online market. We were not competitive online, or maybe we're not today. But what is a topic that is top of mind right now, that is trending, where especially a lot of young people are present, and that is NFTs. So I don't think the idea in itself was terrible, but the execution was challenging. So what I did is I looked at the marketplace itself, which lives on nft.gamestop.com. It is a beta project, a kind of trial project, but you can see that they had like a cool design, that some decent pages, and I thought, okay, why not look at how this subdomain, this marketplace performs, and if there's any value for organic traffic. And when I did my technical due diligence, I actually found the worst case scenario, which is that Google is blocked from accessing the subdomain. Yes.
It's like this one, I was just to compliment them on the subdomain strategy, putting that on a subdomain, which makes a lot of sense, right? It's not like super connected to the game, it's a little bit different. So it's perfect to have it on a subdomain. Also, if it doesn't fly, it's sort of like a bad bank. I don't really break my main site, like what they do on other stuff, but whatever. But yeah, why would they block? Okay, I don't.
Yeah.
I have so many questions.
Same here. It's such a shame.
Mm.
And I checked that with the mobile friendliness tool from Google, which is I actually wanted to see if they use some client side rendering, because I had the suspicion that things are rendered in the browser, and that can always lead to some problems. So the mobile friendliness tool is a little bit of a workaround to see if Google can render the whole page or not. I tried that out, and then I found that Google doesn't even have access to the subdomain. And it's a shame, because you can see in rank trackers that it actually gained traffic over time. So the subdomain was actually on a good path. You can see they jumped to like about 75,000 visitors in August 2022. Was a big jump compared to June 22. So the traffic trend overall was really good, but then you can already see in the rank trackers the last couple of days or weeks maybe, the traffic is going back down because Google does not have access to the subdomain. And then a couple of days ago, I actually
So they're just relying on the brand traffic, that people are actually searching for this, right? I mean, like
yes.
this, yeah. I mean, like, why not capitalize on this even more? And
yeah, SEO heart is bleeding.
I don't even have words anymore.
Yeah, I know. It's a shame, man. It's a shame, and it's a pattern that we've seen with ThinkGeek and other products before. And then I actually found the news a couple of days ago that GameStop has decided to roll back the NFT marketplace. There was shifts and movements in the leadership of the company, and the whole project is said to have cost about 160 million. Just for this marketplace. So I think I think the idea was good. I think the bet in itself was good, but then execution was tricky, and it's now over for this marketplace. So the company tried, but it didn't really work out.
Like they didn't put it on another domain and let it expire.
Yeah. I mean, they could have just. Maybe one of the principles that we keep coming back to in SEO is to, if you have traffic, don't just throw it away. Even if business-wise you cannot satisfy this traffic, think about other creative ways to keep it alive. I mean, there could have been so many things. So in my mind, throwing traffic away in e-commerce is like throwing away dollars, or setting dollars on fire. So this is like one of the I think patterns that we see here for GameStop. And I think to conclude here our analysis and kind of our topic here. I think it's really hard for GameStop in terms of the future. I'm not sure what the future outlook is. The NFT marketplace failed in Q3. The company lost another $100 million. And the only real assets that they have are retail locations. So some people say that the GameStop tries to go back into the secondary game market, meaning selling games that had an owner previously, which they used to be very strong at, and then kind of eBay took over. And so there's another interesting battle in the future here between maybe GameStop and eBay, both companies that have probably seen their best days or have the best days behind them. And both companies, I mean, eBay traditionally used to be very, very strong in SEO, and I would say are still strong and a force to be reckoned with in SEO.
And produced some of the best SEOs we still have on this planet.
Oh, yeah.
And Alex Schulz, who's now the CMO of Meta, a Dennis Rödereber, so many great SEOs who started out at eBay early on. And amazing. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Like a talent forge, as you would say in German, Talentschmiede. And so, the threat keeps going. SEO keeps playing a central role for GameStop in my mind, no matter what they do. And I think that really kind of concludes the story about GameStop here.
Thank you.
No, that's good. Yeah, thank you. Again, Marcus, amazing insights you brought to the table here. Really love how you dug in here. I hope all of you enjoyed this SEO special. And we went over a deck here. For those who are only listening, we went over a deck that you can download and look at yourself. We'll, of course, have the link in the show notes. And if you look very closely, we have hidden a little Easter egg, or maybe it should be a Christmas egg somewhere in the slide deck. So, take a good look, and we're curious how many people will actually find this.
Yeah, I hope so. It would be very embarrassing.
Nobody will know. But Marcus, it's been such a pleasure. Where can people find and follow you?
I mean, if you don't find me, I'm doing a terrible job. So yeah. Also, I think if you want to find me, you can find me in all different on all different platforms. I'm not a big fan of social media. I find social media to be a mindless void of senseless, life-sucking affirmation. That's not me. That's Wednesday. On Netflix. Great series. And this, but I feel exactly like her on the topic of social media. So. So I'm not very social on social media, but yeah, you know me, like in person, I'm very sociable, a little bit too sociable, but yeah, I'm not very social on social media. But yeah, I mean, like if you want to reach out, LinkedIn obviously is a very good choice. Or my email m@m.de. It's also very easy to to type into an address bar. So yeah, yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me as a guest. This was truly really cool. I also learned a lot, which is really cool. And it was just such an incredible honor to finally be a guest on your TechBound podcast. And yeah, I'm a huge fan of you. So it's just awesome to to play a little part in your absolutely fantastic story. So yeah, thank you so much for having me as a guest.
Feeling is mutual, Marcus. And to everybody out there, thanks for tuning in. And I just want to say, sending Marcus emails can pay off big time. So don't shy away. Thanks for tuning in.
Too sharp. Always. Right on.
Right on. Cool. I think this is a wrap.
Yeah, that's a wrap. Thanks, everyone. Bye. And broadcast.